everyone who has joined us online. I'm Monalisa Badola, representing Schneider Electric, taking care of digital power and digital energy marketing for UK and Ireland. And I would first say thank you to Ulrika, who has set up such a wonderful stage for discussion, some very great insights which has come, and thank you for setting up that. So here we go. When we speak about Schneider Electric, today I'm going to present how we can bridge the gap between the ambition and the action which we need to take to decarbonize the entire area. And then here we are going to focus on buildings. So the theme of today's presentation for me is going to be retrofitting the existing building and the path to decarbonization. So just to go forward, we all have seen this, most of us, many a times. However, repeating a communication which is as important as Ulrika just suggested is not bad, and we can talk about it again and again. So yes, what we've done till now is good, but not enough when we talk about 1.5 degree by 2030, and which means that we need to accelerate whatever we are doing right now. How we can make it happen by 2030 is something which we are going to look at this time. And while we are at a global scenario where there are geopolitical issues, which is also causing a short-term energy crisis, and we know about it. And hence, with the long-term climate crisis and the energy crisis, we are at a critical juncture right now where we need to take action. And how do we do that is something which we are saying decarbonize, of course. That comes first to our mind, decarbonize. And how do we do that? Offset the fuel emission, which is through maybe getting the microgrids, getting renewable energies, and that is something which is very, very right step to take. However, as we feel and we understand is that there is another side of the coin as well, and which is basically when we say the next side is demand. How can we reduce the demand of that supply? So supply we've taken care of through maybe renewables, but can we reduce the demand? And there are two steps which we think in Schneider Electric are very crucial. One is to electrify. Electrify let's say our cars, electrify the fleet, which gives us a huge amount of reduction in the demand. And the next one is how can we more efficient and reduce that demand? Efficient in driving our energies, efficient in driving our whole ecosystem. And hence, that is where we call it Electricity 4.0 for Schneider Electric. It is a unique energy management vision to help our customers bridge and build that road towards decarbonization. So we call it two-pronged story, digital, when we are making it more efficient, and then electric for decarbonization. And that makes us a sustainable journey towards where we wish to reach in 2030, 2050, as we have set our goals. So that is how we are looking at a sustainable business generation. Now, Ulrika did mention about our society, our buildings, our environment, our everything which is in and around building, and that is where we are focusing today towards the building decarbonization journey. And how do we do that? So why? Why should we do it? One, the first thing which is there is that the data suggests that 37% of the emission is coming through our existing buildings. And that is where we need to reduce year by year to reach our goal by 2030. The next one is financials. 90% of our existing buildings will have a problem when we go into 2050 when it comes to decarbonization, to achieving the net zero impact. And that is definitely there with the regulations. 50,000 odd companies will have to declare their carbon emission, their reports, which also has accumulated 70 plus odd countries pledging towards this entire effort. And that is where we are taking the theme of buildings. Can we retrofit? Can we make a life a little more better through the buildings? and hence tackling the 37% of the entire area. So what do? We definitely need to accelerate our action, and as I said, 2.5 is all right, but to reach 1.5, we will have to act more, faster, and accelerate the actions. And how do we do that? Well, what we could understand from our own experience working with very large organizations is that 70% of the emission is coming through operational existing buildings, which is while we are operating through buildings, those buildings which are there is counting to around 70%, and the next 30% is coming from the embodied ones. When we are doing some new infrastructure, new construction on the existing site, or something which we are building from the scratch. And hence the need is that we must focus on reducing the operational efficiencies. We must check how we can be more efficient when we are operational. And second, not increasing the embodied carbon, which is while we are constructing the new ones. And that's where we are saying that 50% of the existing buildings right now across may not be suitable for 2050, and there we are talking about retrofitting. Can we do a retrofit of those existing buildings, and while taking note of the new build? And as I said, 70 and 30% ratio. And if we do that, we are sure that we are going to go towards a future which is definitely a road towards decarbonization and net zero. Now, this is where we are. And are we saying that it is only the decarbonization? No. We also have some other benefits while doing this journey. And we call it definitely sustainable. That's the given, that's must. Second one is resilient. If we are in a building which is definitely more operational, more better, we will be competitive in the business. We will have more efficiencies in the system. Efficiency goes up while reducing our cost also, our running cost also, and reducing the demand. And definitely when we get our people in the buildings, they are happy, more resilient, and we are giving the right message across everyone. So how do we go? And we say the time is now. As I said, acceleration is the key. So strategize, which is the key factor, digitize, and then decarbonize. These are our three-pronged story where let us strategize with you. Let's see how we want to do it, how we wish to do it. What is the digitization where we can help build more efficient system and then take a path towards decarbonization? Next one in this comes a light retrofit, medium retrofit, and deep renovations. So we need to check where we are, what we wish to do. Can we do some kind of metering changes in the buildings? Can we have some power monitoring designs which can help us understand where we are and how we can manage it more efficiently? It's something which is light retrofit, less disruption, low cost investment, however very high on ROI, and is giving us almost 45% of the savings in the carbon emission. The next one is when we call it medium retrofit, some disruption, however, and a little more upfront investments, to be honest, but we are sure that we can save almost 85% of it. The next one is deep renovation, which means that we are talking about the entire change of the building. We get everything in a way which is more electric, which is more digital, and that we promise that it should give us almost 85% of energy and operational carbon reduction. And that is where we stand. So where do we start? And as I said, strategize, digitize, decarbonize are 3 steps towards it. And when we look at these 3 steps, we will go as light, medium, or deep. And that is how we are working with our customers, with ourselves also, to a path towards net zero. Now, strategy is something which we can speak about. Digitization is also, there are 2 steps to digitization and then 7 odd steps towards decarbonizing our facilities. Always keeping in mind what we are going to do. Are we going to talk about light, medium, or deep renovation? And if we start by doing that, we are saying we create a decarbonization roadmap. What do we wish to do? We want to have one building, we want to have multiple locations, we want to have light renovation, we want to go global, we want to remain local, is something which an organization will have to decide. And once that is decided, we start measuring, accessing all the data which is there with us, so that we know how much do we need to do. And that's the first step. And once that modeling is done, once we know that this is where we wish to go, the model is set up, then we start looking at digitization of the entire area, which is, can we take care of this through BIM, which will tell us how, what, where it is getting utilized, and how, where, when we can reduce. So these were 3 steps which, combined with having the right monitoring activities, power monitoring activities, through various visibility and then optimizing the efficiency, is something which is the starting point. After that, we go into decarbonization. And that is something which is a 7-step program. We are not saying it is very easy. We are not saying it is very quick. However, depending upon our requirement, we must look at all of these areas. So now then we go into the action which we need to take after looking at strategy and digitization. The next step starts with reduce energy and carbon through automation. As I said, there are metering, there are power management system, there are building management system, there is occupancy control system. There are many other things where we can optimize the energy consumption and then utilize it in a more optimal way. That's the first step. Can we include some AI? Can we look at various analytics? The next one which we see is purchase off-site renewal. And I think this is one of the very important factors. We know that there is something which we can also do ourselves, but we can also buy. And there are 2 ways, 2 benefits, I would say. One, we are having less cost when we take renewable. Second, we are also fostering growth while giving the financial support in creating those renewables. So this is something which we must look at all the time while we are doing all the retrofits. The next one goes into transportation. We spoke about it. Can we reduce the demand? And by having the entire fleet which is converting to electric, we can also take care of scope 2 emissions as we speak. Even scope 3, why not in here? But then while we are looking at the fleet renovation, we can have a load optimization, manage the peak levels, and that is where the next step is. The 7th one is upgrade building systems. Heating is something which is definitely much required if you can electrify that in this part of the world. This is a main cause where we can have a lot of benefits while electrifying the heating. And then, can we modernize the entire electrical digitization? Next one, we have our on-site renewables, and why not? We've got large buildings, we have got the rooftop. Even at the prosumer level, even at the consumer level, they do it all the time at their homes. That why not us in the buildings and generate it and plug it into our microgrids, which can store energy and which can also have a dynamic load distribution. 9th, limited embodied carbon, which is around our new buildings. Can we look at the products which are low or no carbon emission products? Today at Schneider Electric also, our 75% plus sales comes from the green premium products, which are more efficient, more effective. And if we can have the right preventive maintenance services in place, less disruption is cost, and it will have a larger life cycle. And that is where I think this becomes a very important point whenever we are looking at any kind of new buildings. The last, but not the least, is offset residual carbon emission. This one is something where can we look at scope 3 emission? Can we do something? Can we have the entire staff, entire organization go into the fleet, as we said, and how can we look at that area? And these are few things which we definitely build it as more and more companies are going and trying to be there in net zero. So in Schneider Electric, we say we are the right partner. We have got a legacy of almost 20 years in this sustainability, when maybe very few people were talking, but we were always working towards it. And as I said, there's so much of product, there's so much of things which we have got done, which is going towards net zero story. And how do we do that? And we are saying we can help 77% CO2 reductions in the building's environment. And that 77% comes through various research which we have done with WSP, which is a global design firm, and we have tried to quantify that how it is 77%. And what exactly are we going to save through it? So when we say light intervention, and we remember we said light, medium, and deep. If we go through light interventions, the stages which is set shows us that we are going to gain almost 45% of the CO2 emission. The medium one, which also comes with off-site renewables, on-site renewable, we are looking at around 85% of that. And then the deep renovation. So when we put all of this together, we have quantified, as I said, with WSP, is around 77% can be taken care of. And for us, we are a global organization which is not only preaching but also practicing this in our own environment. And we say by 2025, we will be carbon neutral, 2030, net zero. And by 2050, we are saying the entire value chain is going to be net zero. And that is where we pledge, and we are absolutely efficiently working towards it. And at the same time, we are working with many global firms, many global organizations towards it. We have joined hands with 3 of the 5 world hotel chains. We are working with IKEA, we are working with Walmart. We are also around in 40% hospitals globally, where we are working with all the firms and towards either light, medium, or deep renovation, and helping each other make the society, make the environment, make the climate better. So here we are, and maybe a quick video on where we are. We call it life is on, and the time is now. And just to repeat my messaging, we said digitize, strategize, digitize, decarbonize. Strategically look at your buildings, look at where do you wish to go, how much digital data do we have, and what are the steps out of those 7, which one we should take towards our journey to decarbonization, whether it is light, medium, or deep renovation. We are here to help all of you looking into the journey together. Let us talk about it. Let's speak. Our teams are here who are going to answer your questions. I'm going to be here, and please let us feel free to take it together. And that's just it from my side. Thank you so much.